Hello. Oh my goodness. It's a very wintry day in Vermont, but the temperatures are rising a little bit, so you might hear the snow falling off my roof as the melt happens. We have a metal roof, and so it warms up and slides off, makes this huge sound. Well, I have my tea and I want to just have this little chat, and the topic is the difference between life coaching and therapy, because I get this question pretty frequently from women, and sometimes they have a therapist that they've been working with maybe for years and years, and they want to know, like, well, why would I consider a life coach? Like, why do I need a life coach? So I want to explain that a little bit. Very hot. So individuals find life coaches for a few different reasons, but primarily they are focused on something in their life that they want to change. Often it's a transition. Sometimes we're called transition coaches, because you might be transitioning from one job to another job, like looking for other employment, or transitioning in a move or relocation, or maybe, selling your house and moving to an apartment or moving someplace else. For me, I think most of you know this, my coaching is with women over 50 years old and on, who have suffered some kind of loss in their life. And I'll just say that typically, if the loss is very recent, then you probably do need to go, you definitely need to go through the stages of grieving. Okay, you need to get to that place where you're kind of accepting it, but it's going to feel really uncomfortable, but you're at this place where you're just ready to move on again. And that's, it's not necessarily in a year. Like sometimes we say, oh, give yourself a year. Sometimes it takes longer, a couple of years. If you get to 3-4 years and you still feel you're really stuck in that depressed state, what we sometimes call complicated grief, then definitely, if you don't have a therapist, finding a therapist to work through those stages with you is a very good thing, because you probably need to really focus on those very deep feelings that you have and that you just can't go beyond. But the women I work with, I often just think of them as like, they're just on that brink of a new life of some kind. They don't always know what it is, and that's okay. They might have many ideas in mind, like they might be thinking of making a move or selling their house, or they may have to sell, they may have to go back to work, all sorts of reasons that they're facing the change, but they're ready to face those changes. Even though I'm not saying that it's not uncomfortable, it is uncomfortable. And you're facing all sorts of fears in yourself, maybe about being alone, or what it means to find a different sense of community and connections with other people. So these women find me, and I'm always so grateful, because I really enjoy so much working with them around these transitions and these big decisions that they're putting together in their life. And so as a life coach, which is my practice now, I don't practice therapy anymore. It's totally coaching women around these big decisions, these transitions in life. And, we set goals and we think about it. So often it always is about telling your story of grief. Okay, who did you lose? What was that person to you? How did that person change you? What was the impact? Tell me that story. And sometimes it goes back farther and you process thoughts and feelings, even from childhood, or all sorts of feelings come into it, and that's perfectly fine in coaching too. But the idea is to process it in kind of a, I want to say like a short-term way, and be able to put it in context with your goals and where you want to go in life. Like what is you decision do you want to reach? What, you might not know what it is, but I want to help you go from that point A to point B out there. And all those steps in between we work together with. And I try my best to hold you accountable. Sometimes we have to slow down the process a little bit, because there can be just with grief and mourning and loss in our life, so many feelings surface, and sometimes we just have to slow it down a little bit, and that's okay too. I mean, I work individually with women. I'll put my website on this video, and sometimes I work in groups with women, and then they may come to me individually. That's fine too. If they're working individually with me, typically it's like we may start out meeting weekly, but then go to bi-weekly. And then I have women too that they really have reached that incredible place in their life where they're ready. They take the step forward, and they may come back like in 4 months, 6 months, and we kind of do a check-in and see how things are going. And we may or may not start to meet again, because you have other goals. After you reach that point B, you might be thinking of something else. Like, who knows, maybe, if you've lost your life partner and you're able to grieve it and get beyond it and move on, you don't know what's out there. Like, you might fall in love again. Like, wow, what would that look like, So, individual sessions, I also run this self-paced 10-week program, which some women take longer than 10 weeks, and that's fine too. And that's called the Wise Women Warriors. And there's just a lot of juicy content in that. I give you a lot of things to think about, topics and other resources to read and watch, videos to watch, everything in there. And we meet weekly as a group of women to come together and check in and process how everybody's doing. So that's a little bit about life coaching. It's not meant, like sometimes in therapy you're in it for a long time. It's really not meant to be long term. I have formed relationships with my clients that do span years, but again, it's not like a weekly therapy session at all. It's really like a check-in. How are things going? And have you considered this? And, they may want to run a new idea by me, which is great, So I hope that helps. I hope you're having a great afternoon wherever you are. Thank you for watching my channel. And I'm hoping to post lots of other videos, and do ask me questions, okay? I'm happy to respond to questions, and I hope you have a very nice tea time too.